What is going on, New York Giants fans and other people that are tuning into my channel for the first time? Welcome to the 2023 NFL season. It starts today. A different aspect of my channel this year, I'm going to be talking about betting. I'm going to be talking about placing bets and talking about parlays and what picks that I'm making on teams this season, just to maybe help you people out there that are on the fence about certain games and kind of give my perspective on how I view things across the NFL landscape. And this is something that I'm really kind of doing for the first time. I've always, thought about, placing bets on games as far as point spreads goes, but it's something I've just never really done. But I did a lot of research into it in the off season, so I'm going to take a stab at it this year, and I want to keep this stuff on record just so I have it for my own documentation so I can see how accurate I actually am on these football games. But I'm a Giants fan. I put out New York Giants content. I'm a big football fan. I play a lot of fantasy football. If you follow my channel, you've actually seen me talk about some fantasy things on this channel in regards to guys like Saquon Barkley, Richie James as possibly being a good wide receiver option for the Kansas City Chiefs this season as opposed to Travis Kelce. But yeah, we're going to get into this. I'm going to talk to you about my picks. Now, I didn't pick every single game on the NFL slate this week. There's some games that I just really wanted to stay away from, just because I'm not too sure about how those games are going to play out, and honestly, they scare the living daylights out of me, and I don't want them to mess up my parlay. So the games that I'm going to talk about when it comes to that are, to start off, Cleveland, Cincinnati. Those two teams right there, I'm not too sure exactly what to expect out of either one of them. You got Burrow coming back from an injury, hasn't played a snap in the preseason yet, hasn't seen any on-field action. So that scares me. There could be a little bit of rust there. It's a divisional game. Deshaun Watson, you don't know what you're going to get out of him. They added a few pieces. Elijah Moore is there now. Amari Cooper's there. They do have some good options on the offensive side of the ball. Kareem Hunt no longer there. But that is a game that I'm just not too sure exactly how it's going to go and how it's going to play out. So I'm staying away from it. Staying away from it. Another game that I'm not too sure about is, and this was before Christian Watson got hurt, Green Bay, Chicago. Another divisional game. Justin Fields, not too sure what you're going to get out of him as far as throwing the ball goes. From a rushing standpoint what you're going to get. Jordan Love, first year as a starting quarterback, taking over the team for Aaron Rodgers. Not too sure exactly how he's going to play this year. He lost one of his best options in Christian Watson, will not play this week. Romeo Doubs been dealing with a hamstring injury, leading up to the game. So his wide receiver options are going to be, they're not much to really, he doesn't have very many options to throw the ball to. So it's going to be tough for him. They're going to have to really rely on that running game, playing solid defense, and containing Justin Fields. So that's a game I'm staying away from. Just can't determine the outcome on it. Don't know who to pick. And I'm not willing to put any money on it. And another thing, when it comes to all my bets, I made a 10-legged parlay. So, okay, I picked 10 games. I'll put $10 on it. I'm not putting an extraordinary amount of money on these games. I don't do that. I'm going to throw $10 in the hat. I'm going to pick some games, and we're going to see how it works out. So, and for starters, I made these picks back on August 30th, before the Kelce injury happened, before Christian Watson got hurt, before, obviously, Darren Waller for the Giants just came across with a tight hamstring. All these picks were made, over a week ago at this point. So, that should tell you right there, I got a pretty good idea what kind of talent is on these teams and what teams are working with. So, I am confident enough to make those picks that early, but it definitely is, it's a little dicey making picks that early because you don't know exactly what the injury reports are going to be. So, I had the itch early, so I made the picks early. So my first pick of the week was obviously Detroit versus the Chiefs. I took Detroit to cover at plus 6.5 at the time. They covered. I won that game. Obviously, that was before the Kelce injury. I took Detroit at plus 6.5. That was a win. Vikings versus Bucks. Now, I see this game being a shootout. I know a lot of people aren't big on Baker Mayfield. Hell, I'm not big on Baker Mayfield. But I know how bad this Vikings defense is. You saw what the New York Giants did against this defense last year. And most of the good players that they had on defense, they got rid of. So I don't know what they plan on doing on defense in Minnesota. But at the same time, that team can score a hell of a lot of points with Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, Hawkinson, and then the addition of Jordan Addison and Osborne out there at wide receiver. So they have plenty of firepower on the offensive side of the ball in Minnesota. Running game with Madison back there, Ty Chandler. Those are guys that I'm sure will be sprinkled in throughout this game. But Minnesota's going to throw the ball. And I expect Minnesota to score points against that Buccaneers defense, because they were able to do it last year with that record they had last year. And you saw how explosive the offense was. I expect the Buccaneers to come out and do the same against that Minnesota defense. So I didn't pick a team in this game. I didn't pick against the spread. I just took the over when it was at 45.5. And the point total has gone up since I placed this bet. It has gone up to 46. So Vegas is thinking the same thing I am, that this game could become a shootout because the point total is going up. And again, I know people are scared of Baker Mayfield, but this Vikings defense is bad, man. Bad. I can see him completing enough passes to Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Cade Otton might get in there some. Rachaad White out of the backfield, I'm sure he'll catch some passes. This game's going to be a shootout. I really have no doubt about it. I have no doubt about it. So again, I took the Vikings at 45. Well, I didn't take the Vikings. I took the over at 45.5 for the game itself. Didn't pick either team. Didn't pick against the spread. So the next game, Ravens versus Texans. There's some bad weather in Baltimore. They're expecting rain. I'm not the biggest Lamar Jackson fan in the world. I don't care what options you give Lamar Jackson. The ball does not come off his hand cleanly. He does not throw a good ball. You add rain to that, I don't think that's a good recipe for Lamar Jackson. Now, I still think the Ravens are going to score some points against the Houston Texans. Now, I think a lot of people out there believe the Houston Texans don't necessarily have the best defense in the world, but their head coach is DeMeco Ryans, a defensive-minded head coach. Yeah, it's his first season, but DeMeco Ryans was a hell of a player, and that secondary for the Texans wasn't necessarily that bad. And I believe the point spread, it has the Ravens favored by 10 right now, which I would not take. I would not take. No way in hell. Not with Lamar Jackson as a quarterback, and Mark Andrews is already injured. They don't even know how much Mark Andrews is going to play, even if he is going to play in this game. So, I would not take the spread in this game for either team. It scares the living hell out of me. I would just take the Ravens straight up as a money line play. That's it. Take the Ravens straight up as a money line play. It's the safest thing to do. Because I'm not guaranteeing you the Ravens are going to beat them by 10, and I'm not guaranteeing you the Texans are going to lose by less than 10. So, I don't know which way that's going to go. Just take the Ravens and play it safe. You're not going to win a lot of money, but just take the win and move on to the next game. So, Steelers versus 49ers. This is a tough one. This is a very tough game. It's going to be a close game, I would think. Brock Purdy coming back for his first game after a severe arm injury last year. Got a little bit of work in the preseason. Looked pretty well. Looked pretty good. Kenny Pickett looked like he just kind of picked up where he left off towards the end of the season last year. I think a lot of people believe Kenny Pickett's going to make that jump. George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Pat Freiermuth in that offense. Guys like Najee Harris, Jaylen Warren. That's a solid offense they've got there. At the same time, the 49ers are bringing a lot of firepower to the table. Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel. They've got talent all across the board. George Kittle, from what I've heard, he's going to play in this game, from what I understand, but he could be limited. He's probably going to be on a snap count, but he should be out there. So, in this game, there should be rain in the forecast again. There's going to be rain all across the East Coast in the upper north for a lot of these games in Pittsburgh, New York, Boston. It's going to affect some of these games. Maybe it might not affect them as much as people think, but it may have some kind of effect on these games. Just due to the fact it may make them sloppy, man. And you got to think, this is the first game of the year. These offenses aren't going to be hitting on all cylinders, man, on this first game. So with the rain added to that, I could see some sloppy football out there, especially the games that aren't played indoors. So, but I'm taking the Steelers. I'm taking the Steelers at +2.5 to cover the spread. I'm gonna take the Steelers in that one. That's a tough game to pick right there, and that could be the game that ultimately ends up screwing my whole entire parlay. But I'm gonna take the Steelers in that one. I think they can play good defense. They can try their best to shut down Christian McCaffrey. That is the one thing that they were really strong at in terms of defense last year, was stopping the running game. Now, when it came to stopping pass catchers, the secondary wasn't necessarily the best in the world, man. They did not play well last year, but against the run, they were solid as hell. Solid as hell. And I believe that will continue today. Hopefully they made the improvements they needed in the offseason to strengthen up that secondary, and they're able to stop the 49ers and cover that plus 2.5 spread. Again, we'll take the Steelers at plus 2.5. Patriots-Falcons. Well, no, Panthers-Falcons. Panthers-Falcons. Another game I'm not big on. I'm not going to pick against the spread in this game. I'm just going to take the under. When I bet on this game, the under was at 40. It was at 40. They've dropped it down to 39.5. Again, Vegas is thinking like me. You think Bryce Young, first-year quarterback, in his first start on the road. Thielen, his number one option, already has a bum ankle. DJ Chark, his number two option, is out, will not play. So he's left with rookie wide receiver Jonathan Mingo, Adam Thielen with a bum ankle, and Hayden Hurst at tight end. I'm not liking those options for a rookie quarterback on the road going up against a run-heavy team in the Atlanta Falcons. Yes, it's Desmond Ridder, but Bijan Robinson is in the backfield, and he is a generational running back from what they say. Add Tyler Algier to that mix. That's a guy that can run the ball himself. He really came on strong last year towards the end of the season. And he is a pounder, man. He'll probably get the work inside the goal line. I don't know. Yeah, they might not take Bijan off the field, inside the 5, inside the 10. But I could definitely see Tyler Algier taking some carries away from him just to protect him, maybe, to really drive the ball into the end zone, considering, how much of a thumping running back he is. But, yeah, I'm going to take the under in that game. Even at 39.5, I still think I would take the under in that game. I think that game is going to be dominated by the run, which is going to burn the clock, going to kill the clock, going to be dominated by the run. And, you're going to have stalled drives because you have two quarterbacks that don't have a lot of NFL experience. And I would take the under in that game again. I think that's a safe bet, and I wouldn't bet against the spread. Would not do it. Jaguars versus the Colts. Jags are favored at 4.5. I'm taking the Jags to cover the spread. Anthony Richardson, I could easily see him having two turnovers in this game. Now, depending on where those turnovers take place in field position, in regards to field position, that could really put the Colts behind the 8 ball and allow the Jacksonville Jaguars to cover the spread in this game at 4.5. And I see it happening. Anthony Richardson likes to put a lot of heat on his passes. I can see a ball getting deflected, intercepted, possibly taken back to the house for 6. I could very easily see that happening. And I don't expect him to be that accurate. Yes, Richardson is going to get his rushing yards, but when it comes to passes, one of those throws that he makes, it may come on that wide receiver pretty quick, and they might not be ready for it. Next thing you know, tip ball up in the air, intercepted. And again, depending on where that happens on the field, it could cost them 6 points. So I think that's a very good bet in the parlay also, is the Jacksonville Jaguars to score a defensive touchdown in this game. I would not be surprised by that at all. So, again, I'm taking the Jags to cover at minus 4.5. They're favored. Next game, Seahawks versus the Rams. Taking the Seahawks on the money line. Made this bet before the Cooper Kupp injury. Even if Cooper Kupp was there, I'm still taking the Seahawks. Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to be playing in this game. DJ Metcalf. Tyler Lockett, Zach Charbonnet, Kenneth Walker. That team is loaded with talent. As long as Geno Smith picks up where he left off last year, I don't think the Rams have anything on defense to stop him. And I'm not big on Matthew Stafford coming back with no options at all besides Puka Nacua and what's the little guy's name? Tutu Atwell. Like, I don't like his chances, man. I think Seattle's going to beat the brakes off of them in that game. And that's going to be it. Just take Seattle with the money line. Again, it's not a game that you're going to make a killing on, but it's a game you'll probably win. Next game, Eagles versus Patriots. When I bet on this game, Eagles were favored at 3.5. I'm taking the Eagles to cover in this one. Devontae Parker is out. Juju Smith-Schuster will be on the field for them. But, I mean, the Patriots really don't have very many options. That Philadelphia Eagles defensive line is absolutely ridiculous. Rhamondre Stevenson, I think, is questionable coming into this game. Even if he was completely healthy, I don't like his chances moving that ball, running that ball against that Philadelphia Eagles front. I think Philadelphia is the cream of the crop in the NFC. No doubt about it in my mind. That offense is going to pick up right where they left off last year. Devontae Smith is going to be an absolute monster this year. A.J. Brown, you know what you're getting with him. And I'm a Giants fan, and it pains me to say all that shit, but there's no way I could tell you any different. So, take the Eagles to cover the 3.5 point spread. And the next game, Giants versus the Cowboys. Again, I'm a Giants fan. Darren Waller showed up late on the injury report with a tight hamstring, and I believe that's all it is. Sorry about that. I believe that's all it is. I think Brian Dable's playing a little bit of head games with Mike McCarthy and the Dallas Cowboys. We know Darren Waller is going to be a big part of this offense, along with Saquon Barkley. Those are going to be the two main guys. I'm going to pick the Giants to cover the spread. Obviously, the Cowboys are favored at 3.5. I'm going to take the Giants in the points. I think they could possibly win this game or at least cover the spread. It's going to come down to the Giants' offensive line stopping Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. They're going to have to hit these guys on shallow routes, your guys like Sterling Shepard, Wan'Dale Robinson, Paris Campbell, and then you're going to have to attack the Dallas Cowboys secondary deep, possibly one or two shots with Jalen Hyatt or a guy like Darius Slayton. If at one point in this game, I would not be surprised if they send, Darius Slayton deep on one side and they send Hyatt deep on the other. And whatever side that safety commits to, that's the guy they're going to on the opposite side of the field. Don't be surprised if that happens. Daniel Jones connects on a deep ball. It's going to be a close game, possibly decided by a field goal. Hopefully my Giants come out on top in that one. Offensive line has to play well. Dallas does have a solid defense, but the Giants do have a solid defense themselves. And they did add some pieces in the offseason, brought in cornerback Deonte Banks to play alongside. I'm blanking on my boy's name right now. The other corner for the Giants. Oh, I should be ashamed of myself right now. I can't even think of it right now. I've been talking about too many different things. But they did bring in pieces. The guys like Xavier McKinney playing there in the secondary at safety. The Giants have a strong team. I think a lot of people are sleeping on them. Do I think they can compete with the Philadelphia Eagles this year for that NFC East title? No, I do not, especially with the Philadelphia Eagles starting off their first 6 games with such easy competition. Their toughest game in the first 6 weeks is against the Jets in week 6, or it may be in week 5. So honestly, I expect the Eagles to start off 6-0. I would not be surprised by that at all. And when they get to the Jets, I wouldn't be surprised if they beat the brakes off the Jets because the Jets don't necessarily have a very good offensive line. And when you don't have a good offensive line, you better be ready for the pain when it comes to playing the Philadelphia Eagles because they're going to bring it. And Aaron Rodgers, I don't think he wants any part of that, pushing damn near close to 40 years old. So I'm taking the Giants to cover the 3.5 point spread against the Cowboys. Again, hopefully they win, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to be rooting hard for my team, but I believe they'll beat the Cowboys. I believe they'll beat the Cowboys, but it's going to be a close game. Division game, they're always close. And I do believe the Giants are bringing more to the table than the Dallas Cowboys this year. The Giants might not necessarily have as good of a defense as Dallas, but it ain't that far off. And offensively, if Daniel Jones does take that next step, I think the Giants offense, with the additions of Paris Campbell, Darren Waller, guys that are already on the team, Darius Slayton who can stretch the field, Sterling Shepard, if he can stay healthy, man, he would be a huge, huge piece to this offense because he can still play. Even with all the injuries Shep has had to deal with over his whole entire career, every time he comes back, he still goes out there and produces. It's just a shame every time his feet touch the field, he ends up getting banged up again and he's out for the season. But that's just the way it's been. Wan'Dale Robinson will be out for this game. He's not going to play. Last thing I heard, he's not going to play. Then I saw yesterday he was going to be questionable, so I don't know exactly what's going on there right now. But I don't think he's going to play. But again, take the Giants and the points. I think that's a safe bet. And in my last bet, Jets versus the Bills. Again, this is a 10-game parlay. I took the Jets in one on the money line, and I took the Bills in the other. I took the same bets on the other. I took the same teams on the same bet, and then one I have the Jets winning, and the Bills I have on the other. So if I get 9 of them right and it gets down to this last game, I'm bringing home some money regardless, as long as it doesn't end up in a tie. And with my luck, hell, it'd probably end up in a damn tie. But we'll see what happens. But those are my picks. Tell me what you think. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you're a Giants fan, tune into my stuff and just kind of get a view on what's going on with the Giants. I'm not necessarily a big channel. I've got 236 subscribers. I appreciate all my subscribers that have stuck with me. I know I'm not consistently putting content out there, but I'm trying to put it out there as much as I possibly can. I can be very energetic at times, and I can be pretty off the wall at times. So, I think I can be entertaining and keep viewers interested in my videos. But, it all depends. It all depends on the day and how fired up I actually am. I can get really fired up at times and then just lose my damn mind. But that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you take any of these picks, hopefully they work out for you. Let's win some money today, and let's take care. Enjoy week 1 of the NFL football season. And go Giants. Go Giants. See you later. Bye.